Hello. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Uh, just checking here on Todd. He's trying to make it through our system, but just not seeing him. So I'm gonna be checking my phone to see when people want to join in. Uh, I can see. There we go. Let me just double check while I'm here that we're checking my phone. There we go. Had some audio fun the last time. Reconnect to session. Now I am gonna quit that. And that should be, oh. All right. Got one viewer. This is all a bit of a brave new world. Normally I would have a crew here. I would have someone on, let's see, that camera, and that camera right up there. I probably wouldn't have anybody on that camera, but I would definitely have somebody monitoring the audio. Oh, Todd. That is interesting. Wondering why that is doing that. Current bitrate is 9,000. Yeah, that's a lot higher. All right,
So,
everybody.
yeah.
Our one viewer. And I'm not even sure that is. Okay, let me switch to this now that you've got that. Check. All
Check.
right. So, hey, Ton. Of course. Disconnecting. Reconnecting.
I have a slight view now too, just so you know, Kelly.
Echo?
Yes.
I'm wondering what the check built-in microphone is. So, let's do that. And then this. How's that now?
Still a little bit. You say, how's that now? How's that now? Here, like that.
Check. I think you're coming through this. Because I'm
Okay.
closer to the speaker, and then you're still getting the FaceTime.
Yeah, there's no echo now. As you move back, I didn't hear an echo.
Yeah, it's because I'm getting further from the speakers.
Yes.
Ultra Studio Express. No, I want you to see the mix. Boom. So this is what the world is seeing.
Just a little delay. You know what? I wonder, is it too late for me to switch to my phone? Because my camera on my laptop, you're going to get this blurry stuff and delay.
Well, I don't think. I mean, the phone didn't work, right? I mean, it's not too late. There's never too late.
Well, that was when I had music playing.
What's that?
And you said the music might be stopping it from working with the licensing.
Yeah, but you said you could. Wait a minute. The phone was the music?
No, I just had a CD player playing some David Byrne music, and then when I got on my laptop, you said the reason why it wasn't working was because of the licensed music playing.
Oh
And
no
I was
no no
blocking
no
it.
no
So I
no no
turned
no
off
no
music.
no 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 no. What I'm saying is, if you were playing music
Right.
and it went out live to the world,
Right.
there's automatic filters that would. So we never went live yet. I'd never gone live.
All right.
So it
Let me
wasn't
switch to
keeping
my
it from
phone
going
then.
on. All right. Stay on
All right, I'm going to do
this.
that.
Stay on
Okay.
this. Switch to your phone, and then if that works, I'll reroute it. Because we have two viewers now. One
Whoa.
is probably Mark Brodzik because he has nothing better to do.
Mark Brodzik, man. He's checking his ammo right now. His pepper
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, he went to all the two-stroke bikes and made sure the oil and gas was right and everything's good. And now he's watching this stream. And the second
Fuck
one's
you,
probably
Brodzik. Fuck you.
Mark Jeff Shermer is probably the second viewer of our.
MJ's good, man. I like Brodzik too. I'm giving a hard time for Tim.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Failure,
Todd Holtz
people.
in here.
We had a failure earlier. If you've been watching this stream since the beginning and saw my logo and nothing else for 10 minutes, it's because this failed. This being a Thunderbolt cable failed. Boom. Linchpin. Luckily, in this shoot, we're in my basement, which is my studio. I mean, we're in my studio, my fancy studio in Burbank, California.
Yes.
So, Tana, I'm seeing the phone now, but it's still coming through as black. Is the phone in your pocket?
No. All right, I just made sure I had all my other windows closed on my. That was slowing it down.
Yeah.
And my battery's at 90% charge. I even have it hooked up, so it could be a low battery issue.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the. I don't have a lot of Android experience, but it's through. It's connected. Is there a button? Is there like a red button?
It's a red button. Red button. He was a good comedian.
I went with official from Bell's in Comstock,
Nice.
Michigan. It's a nice hazy
Nice.
IPA.
I'm
I don't
from
even
Michigan.
drink,
I'm not an IPA guy.
but Todd said let's have some drinks.
Right.
Todd,
Frank?
you just went. Well, you just went and bought alcohol, right? And you like never drink, but you're like, oh, let me. Everybody's buying, and stores are closing.
It's for the happy hours, right? People are having.
Uh,
Uh, Jesus. I don't know why this isn't doing this on my phone. I don't have anything muted. There's options to mute my camera and my microphone, but I'm not doing that. It's still going, waiting to join the conversation, spinning thing. Different view, different view. All right.
trying to learning my boundaries. I've never been good with boundaries.
That's right.
Social distancing.
Don't
was
touch
good.
your face.
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Especially, I mean, I shaved a
Right.
couple weeks ago, and
Join.
oh, so now there's another Todd. Add Todd. Oh,
Yeah,
there
just
we
did it.
go.
There you go.
Oh
All
boy,
right.
let me get rid of this
Let me
Todd.
get out of the. All right. There you go.
Okay, now
Prop up my phone over here so it's
okay, but we went
the volume up.
blank in social land on Todd's side. Let's see which Todd is this. Can you rotate landscape?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to. I can adjust, but
Yes.
there we go. There we go.
It's a lot better.
Now,
No echo. It's good.
come on. Never been good at. Uh-oh. So now we come to the crux of it, Todd. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, I disconnected your other user, so that because on my end it looks different than what you're seeing,
Right.
but it's easier. It was like Todd and then black screen
Right.
and me. So I found out who our one viewer is, and I
Me?
I think no. I'm trying to. So I'm right now. I'm looking into your eyes, but in order to see your eyes, I have to look here. So I'm wondering. I do have a teleprompter, and even though I think it would be massively overkill, I think I'm going to install the teleprompter on that camera and run
Okay.
a feed out for this. So when I'm looking into your eyes, I'm looking there.
Right.
Not here, because I think this looks weird. Although on screen, like if you just turn to your right, see, now we're looking at each other.
Hey, what's going on? Hey. It's like Saturday Night Live.
Our one viewer, Todd, is my mother,
Oh, hi, Mom.
and she just texted me because she thought it was funny when I said I've never been good with boundaries.
Hey, Mom, how was the potty training?
I think I did that a little later than most.
All right.
I don't remember it.
Age 12.
Seemed easy. I mean, 12, 22, whatever.
As long as you were good by the time you went to college.
So how you doing, man?
I'm doing okay.
How is are you feeling better?
A little less anxiety today, but I've been prone to it in ways I haven't been in the past.
Yeah.
And part of it's not having any income. And I have an interview on Thursday morning to do overnight stocking at a giant supermarket. So it is what it is.
They're busy,
Yeah.
and you'll have limited interaction with the public. Are you a night person?
I will be to make some money.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I've been since I was a caregiver for my parents. To kind of get back into life slowly, I started after I kind of got my mind and body back in shape doing Uber and Lyft driving.
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna do Uber and Lyft driving these days. I thought about Uber Eats, but I'm not even sure about that because of some restaurants aren't the cleanest.
Yeah, and then I mean, you're dropping off the food, so this doesn't matter. But you don't. It's not like you're having to pick up cash like you are with a traditional food delivery. But yeah,
Maybe a friend of mine posted that she was getting a delivery of like groceries or something, and she had tipped really well, and she was going to give the delivery person some cash as well. So there still might be potential for grabbing some cash, you know.
yeah. Well, I guess I
So
don't. I heard this a couple of years ago because I also did the Uber thing,
mhm,
and I found it very hit or miss where I am.
right,
Uh, there were times where I would go on and I wouldn't get a ride for 2 hours,
wow,
and like that's and then all of a sudden it would just explode, and it's okay. I'm doing hours and hours and hours, but that first 2 hours of sitting there idling doing nothing,
right,
like chase. This is an awful analogy, but chasing the dragon, driving. Oh, where is the traffic right now? Oh, it's in Pottstown. Okay, let me drive there. Oh, it's in Lancaster. Let me drive there. And you get there, and then other people beat you to it. So now the hot zone is in King of Prussia. Okay, let me get all the way back to King of Prussia.
right. I didn't chase those hot zones because of that. I saw some stuff online, and they were saying like you shouldn't do that necessarily because everybody runs towards there.
Yeah,
So unless I was really close, I wouldn't go to them.
but you're in Wilmington,
Yeah,
Delaware,
hmm,
I should say. I mean,
yep,
because there could be people from all over the world. Delaware, the first
yep,
state, and
yep.
probably, I mean, the best state. A lot of people don't know this, and I'm not just saying that because that's my state of birth.
Ah,
Um, yeah, I imagine that there's Wilmington has that nice bit of urbanness in terms of like there's always going to be somebody needing to get somewhere.
mhm.
Plus, the rush times of the happy hour, bar close type times are going to be like where the
It could
where the
be the one of the things that I found is driving in the morning, like when people are going to work, and around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, people are starting to leave work, and Delaware has a lot of corporations,
yeah.
so you'd have people coming down from New York, things like that. So I could go to like AstraZeneca, which is the old ICI, if you're from Wilmington area. Um, so I could pick up people from there, and I could also there's some what is it? JP Morgan. I could always pick up somebody there around 4 o'clock if I wanted to. So
Barclays.
Barclays is down by the waterfront. The waterfront is really built up now.
Yeah.
There's new residences, high rises down there. There's lots of social activities, restaurants, the
Yeah.
stadium, movie theater, hotels, stuff like that. So,
Barclays is one of our clients,
okay. All right.
and so we've frequented down there. There's a Mexican gastropub.
Yes, I haven't gone there because I'm a little bit of a Mexican food snob. And when it's
Oh,
called a Mexican gastro, I'm a little skeptical. That
yeah.
it's a little bit,
I didn't
yeah,
know it was called that until I tried to look it up the other day, and I found it. I found it
yeah,
by looking at going to the map and like tracing along the river, and
right,
it was like, oh, yes, but it is pretty good. It's not amazing.
right,
Yeah, this is just so. Maybe I'll move the laptop. It's not
yeah,
amazing, um, but it's good, especially when you're at work, on a job, video. And my partner, Barclays was one of his old clients, so he's been with them for 10 years, I think, and I've been working down there for maybe 7, 8 now.
hmm,
They have a pretty decent internal cafeteria type of scenario that's really nice, but it
okay,
just gets old, you know.
right,
And then
yeah,
there's that Firestone was down there near there, but that to have something different that was somewhat affordable and close was nice. And I love Mexican food, so I
yeah.
am a snob from.
If you go up to Market Street too, there's a few restaurants up there now. That's kind of cool. There's one that's you wouldn't go to all the time. It's called Bardea, and it was just
Mm,
recognized by like Wine and Food magazine.
nice.
But they're closed down now because they're not
Uh,
the kind of place that will make it on takeout.
oh, they're closed temporarily.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But there's the restaurants are doing pretty good in Wilmington. A lot of people are starting to head down to Market Street after dark, when they didn't used to do it. Wilmington was always a bedroom community, meaning they'd work there and go home once it got dark. I think mostly because they're afraid, you
Yeah.
know. And Wilmington was never really that bad, so I didn't understand that. They even have like security people walking around in yellow jackets now. They're not cops, but they got radios and they can call the cops really quickly. And you always kind of see one or two walking around after dark down there like that. So I feel safe. I don't have any problems with it being down there.
Yeah. I had I have a reoccurring joke about safety. I used to be a particular type of person that nobody wants to mess with.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the history of the world, there's a certain type of person that has just done some really awful things and is really and that is a crazy white guy. They
Okay.
just white guys. When you hear a story of like they found 5 people in a basement,
Right.
like it's a white guy,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
so when I was a young man in Philadelphia, I was wearing like thrift store clothes, and I was just I had no money and no cell phone and no credit card and not a care in the world, and I would walk through neighborhoods that people told me you should not walk through. I didn't have a car. What was I gonna do? I didn't have money for a cab. There was no Uber, and I just had the confidence of exuding use. Like it would be one, you could look at me and tell right away it would not be worth any hassle whatsoever going to like accost me.
Right.
But on top of that, there's always the chance I could be crazy white guy.
Right. Yeah.
Then I moved away, and
I've
then
had a few situations where, like, I've had maybe with other people from theater or whatever, and we're out in back of the theater, and someone will come along and try and get money from us or whatever, and not want to quit. And although I'm not really a fighter, I'm like, I guess I'm crazy enough looking white guy that I can fool them like, yo, you got to step away. Yo, you got to step away. Step away. That kind of thing.
yeah. Well, I moved back after
Just look at them like, hey.
getting a corporate job and getting a cell phone and getting a bank account and getting clothes off the rack, not from the thrift store. And then I walked through a couple areas that I used to walk through all the time, and I realized, oh my goodness, I'm no longer a crazy white guy. I'm
Right.
now I look like there's a reason to come accost me.
Well, my version of that these days is I've been seeing a lot of concerts over the last like year and a half or so.
Yeah.
And even though I'm of a certain age, if it's a standing room show, I still try and move up towards the front. Like right up against the stage is best, because at least nobody can, push up against the front of you. And if you kind of like space yourself a certain way, you box yourself out a little bit. But I was seeing Anderson .Paak here, and I was probably about a third of the way back. And it wasn't too bad for the opening act. And then he came on, and everybody started pushing forward. And all of a sudden, I realized there's this white kid, probably like around 21 years old, and he's with his girl, and he's standing with his like side of his body pressed against the side of my body. And I turned to him like, "We ain't gonna do this." He's like, "What?" I was like, "You know what I'm talking about. You got the side of your body pressed against mine. We ain't gonna do it." And I just look at him, and he gives me the up and down look, like, and then he kind of thinks about it for a second, and the dude stepped off. So, yeah.
Oh, it's funny. I had a moment, different genre but similar. I used to go camping, climbing, caving with my aunt and uncle, and I would go into these caves with these two, experts and their friends. I thought they were old. Boy,
Right.
Mom, if you're still watching, don't tell them Phyllis I said this. But I'm like 17, 18, not the best shape in the world, but still like these other people are in their 30s, And I'm like, well, if Tim can get through that hole in that cave, then I know I can, because, Tim weighs about 210, 220, and I'm, 150, wiry high school kid.
Right.
So I just keep going.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. If you're gonna go spelunking,
Yeah.
have a bigger dude in front of you.
Bigger dude in front of you. Exactly.
Yeah.
So then you fast forward 15, 20 years, and I'm still with Uncle Mark, but I look around and I realize, oh no, I'm Tim.
Right. Right.
Because I'm older than everybody else except Uncle Mark, who's been doing this since before I was born. You know, and I'm the one that has to say, "Ooh, I don't know if we can go any further."
Right.
And I did. After like 2 hours in this cave, I'm like, "Oh yeah, let me."
Yeah. I don't think I could do that spelunking stuff because I would have this fear that I would be the guy that would get stuck.
Well, you know, the key with it, I think, is having a guide of some sort. Now, they don't have to be a paid guide, but in my situation, my uncle had been in and out of all of these caves dozens of times.
Right.
So I had somebody who was an expert, a safety conscious expert, and he was able to judge like skill level of the entire crew. So when we went with some of the younger kids, it was like a trail. There was not like any amount of get stuck. Like there was some points where you had to duck, you know, down to like 5, 6 to get through, but you're not like pushing your helmet ahead of you through, which I've done that too. And that's fun and scary all at the same time. Okay. But there's something nice, especially when you're I was born in Delaware, but I grew up in West Virginia. And
that explains it.
Yeah.
The West Virginia.
So
sorry, Mom, if you're from West Virginia.
Well, she's from Baltimore.
Okay.
So, the heat of the summer there. I mean, it gets hot in cities. Yeah, I get it, but there's a muggy, wet soupiness to the Appalachia because of all the greenery and it never dries out and you're just wet. And on those days, it's nice because the caves are, I believe in North America, they're like 54 degrees year round.
Okay.
They never get colder than that. They never get warmer than that once you get in a certain distance.
Okay.
So it was really nice to like take a 2, 3, 4 hour break and be out of the heat, the oppressive muggy heat. When we would go camping. So, there was streams and pools and stuff, but it was nice to get out of that heat sometimes.
Camping, I was cool with as a kid. I remember being a Boy Scout and loving camping. I was telling somebody recently, back then, and this is like back in the 70s, we had a scoutmaster, Mr. Ford, and he would drive the car load full of us when we go on these trips. I remember one trip, he had a beer, basically tucked between his legs the whole trip, and he was trying to tell us about how he judged how far a trip was by the number of beers that it took.
Oh, okay.
And he said the trip we're on was about a 5-beer trip.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And the Scoutmasters at night, they all had a big tent they stayed in, and they'd go in there for a while. There'd be men amongst men, and then they'd come out to the campfire with us boys, and they'd all have like a little cup or something. And I think Mr. Ford would have a beer. I think the other guys had a little something on their cup, but there was alcohol, but not beer. So yeah, but it was cool. I had a good time camping, wintertime camping, canoeing, trips. All that stuff, I enjoyed it. I feel kind of bad that the Boy Scouts are having a hard time like the Catholic Church these days.
Yeah. Well, my son is in. He's a Cub Scout currently. But we...
there you go. You just came back.
Yeah. And so the Pinewood Derby got canceled, and the camp out next weekend already got canceled.
Yeah, of course.
But we just did a camp out in the backyard. I would... if I was a little more on the ball, because I took pictures, I'd transfer the pictures into the computer and show the world the pictures. But basically, most of it was giving Mom a break.
Mm-hmm.
But we set up the tent. I got a big. It's not a backpacking tent by any stretch of the imagination. It's a beast of a I believe it's set up for 15 people.
Wow.
It has like an awning, and let's see if this works. Nope, you're never gonna see that.
Not close enough, yeah. It was funny back when I was a kid. Let's see. Is it upside down? It's a blurry.
It's blurry because
Okay,
I can't
that's it.
focus.
That's it. That's it. I can see it.
So
Cool.
yeah, we did a fire in the backyard. Got some. Already had the stuff for s'mores. You know,
Yeah.
was thinking about making dinner back there, but
Right.
we just did a normal dinner.
So back when I was a kid, the pudding packs used to have that little ring top on it where you put your finger in and peel it back, as opposed to like
Yeah.
the film across the top now. So I came up with an idea, and it was about bedtime, and everybody was going to bed, and I was one of the last people up. So I took one of my pudding packs and I stuck it in the fire with the top facing somebody's tent, and I hurry up in my tent, and you hear about,
Oh,
15 seconds later, poof, and somebody's tent got like napalm with pudding. I did it a few times.
you're the worst.
Yeah, whatever. It was fun.
There was a. I've never done this either, but there was a. I was at one of those men's magazines that had these different pranks you could pull,
Right.
and they had different levels of like meanness to the prank, and like one of the ultimate levels of meanness was a glass mayonnaise jar that's half full of mayonnaise, and you put 2 or 3 raw chicken breasts in the jar of mayonnaise and seal it up real tight and stash it under your enemy's bed.
Okay.
And in about a week to 3 weeks, the pressure from the rotting
Oh
raw
man.
chicken.
In college, we used to get goldfish and go into somebody else's dorm room, and yeah, the beds where they had little like hollowness to like the vertical post, and you
Yeah.
drop a goldfish down there, and that would get kind of nasty in a week or so,
Oh.
and they wouldn't know where it's at. Like, where is it?
Trying to see.
Eh.
You know, there's a good chance my mom has been watching this whole thing. A couple
We're
other
different
people
now,
have-
Mom.
but I'm gonna have to talk with her because why didn't she join us, right?
Right.
Is that that's your phone? Is
Yeah.
is that my mom
Sorry.
texting you?
No.
Oh, well, my nephew also commented on the YouTube stream.
Okay.
Well, this is my second one,
Okay.
and basically people have been asking me, "Hey, when are you gonna do something?" And we had talked months ago about
Right.
doing something, and now this is, I guess, easier than once you get it working.
Mhm.
Once you figure out how, it's easier than the other thing, which would have been you driving up here.
Yeah. This
But-
camera you just switched to works the best. The other one was glitching out a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So this
Well, actually,
one,
no. What? It's happened. Wait a second. It just happened on the one you just had to. I'm sorry. It's not the camera. I thought I figured something out for you.
yeah, no, I think it's probably just your connection. I mean,
Okay.
it's like our connections to each other.
Right.
I also have some. I don't know. Again, I've never really used this function before.
Mhm.
I've played around with it, but I've never really used it. So I'm kind of like trying different ideas. I doing
Right.
But do you can hear me all right? Everything sounds good. You have. I mean,
Yeah.
as soon as I went away, that echoey is not there. Once I'm farther away from the computer.
Your echoey thing has gone away. Every once in a while, the screen freezes. Not that often, and then I can't hear you when that happens.
Yeah,
Whether that's on my end or your end, but my internet connection's not bad.
I think it's
here.
probably
The
on
one-
our end.
Okay.
It's somewhere in between. I don't know, because this link that I gave to you to get this stream going is hosted somewhere,
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
website. So
Did you
it's
see my page I did to try and occupy myself, Mr. Todd Circle Time for Kids?
no. What's hold on? Let me
I
see.
invited you. I invited everybody.
Okay. Let me.
Mr. MR, Todd Circle Time for Kids. I used to be a preschool teacher, so I'm kind of like posting stuff for young kids on there. But I'm adding new stuff all the time. Free content. But if people are able and willing, they can send me something.
So it's
But I'm starting to add features like if you want me to read a bedtime story to your kid in video chat, I can do that for a couple bucks. Or have like a circle time with your
oh sorry.
kids. Yeah.
Switch it. We say circle time with Mr. Todd,
Mr. Todd's
and that's
Circle Time
is that
for Kids.
MR or MISTER?
MR period.
MR Todd.
Todd's like, possessive.
Is this a
Circle
website?
Time for Kids. No, it's Facebook
Oh,
page.
well, that's not going to work.
Okay. But anyways, I
gonna-
started adding some things to it. And one of the things I'm doing is I want kid-friendly music. And I know a lot of musicians, so I'm asking them to do that. But I also was talking to Jimmy Babchak from the Smithereens,
Yeah,
and he's going to try and put something together for me this weekend.
awesome.
I love the Smithereens. I see him a lot. And I chat with him sometimes on Facebook Messenger. So,
Okay, let's try this. Mr.
uh-huh.
Todd's
Now, circle time.
Circle
2 words.
Time.
Time for kids.
All right. I was just, trying to get the word out. I got to get the word out.
Yeah.
And go. No, why isn't there text there? No. Text properties. Shadow. Oh, I know why. Nope. Text. File. Text. Oh boy. I'm usually in the background. I'm not usually the
Right.
talent.
host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. That. I know we've said it a bunch,
Yeah.
and we can say it again, but that, my friends, if you could see it, says Mr. Todd's Circle Time for Kids.
Yes.
So look for that on Facebook.
Yep.
And
I just put up a video by a band called Betty and the Bullet. It's got a really cool chick on a stand-up bass, little tattoos and stuff like that, and a guy on guitar, and somebody else on fiddle. He just passed on, actually. Davey just passed on. But they played without the fiddle player. They had, I forget who they had, a third person playing. And my mom's going away party, as I call it, her funeral. That's how I met them.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want it to be a celebration of her life as opposed to a cry fest.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Oh man. How that's a whole other episode.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I know I reached out briefly. There we go. I have a hard time with grief and boundaries.
There you go. Me too.
My father passed just a bit before, because your mother passed first, right? Did I get that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a bit before your mother, and then just kind of like going. My mom, if you're still watching, hopefully I'm not sharing too much. My mom has been in recovery now and cancer-free for over a year, I believe, maybe 2 years.
Cool. That's cool.
But she was going through that, and it was like, I've several, besides yourself, several friends that were going through that time, and it's just an interesting. It's so interesting as humans to see, and never, I guess, never paid attention until it was happening to me, and then all of a sudden I realized it's happening to everybody. It just happens, and everybody has to deal with it in such a, in their own way, and I applaud the celebration. That's why I guess where I started with this.
Yeah. Well, I used Facebook too, kind of as my therapist while I was going through a lot of that stuff. Because I was a caregiver for both my parents, and basically my dad turned over like responsibility of making decisions for mom at a certain point. And she had Alzheimer's and Lewy body dementia pretty badly, where she forgot who my dad was and thought that he was a stranger, and she was at this house at a lake and she didn't know him, and she would call me all distraught. But so anyway, she got a little aggressive towards him, and she eventually fell down the steps and broke her arm one day. And that kind of was the catalyst to getting her into nursing home kind of thing. So, but yeah, and then with my pop, I was a caregiver, kept him at home, and he had a bunch of strokes and stuff. But I learned a lot through that, and I'm always willing to help people out when they're going through it, and it's just kind of something we got to go through, and it's sucks, and you hate to lose your parents, how old you are, but it's just kind of part of life, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of people said that my talking about stuff on Facebook helped them through. So I'm proud of that, I guess, is a way to put it. I was able to help some people through my sharing.
Yeah, I guess that I went on a long ramble, but that's where I was going with. It was like I didn't share much when I was going through that, but
right.
I felt like a kindredness when you were going through it.
Okay, I'm happy for that in a strange way. If it helped you in some way or made you feel like you weren't alone, I'm okay with that.
That's I guess that's the beauty and the danger of the internet, is that there's a lot of things that people go through that it's nice to know you're not alone.
Yep.
But there's some things that people go through as humans that they should not seek out the other people that think those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a choice, right? I mean, some people would probably say, "Oh my God, I can't believe you shared all that stuff," But
well, I guess I was talking. I didn't want to even talk about any of the things that were in my head, but I wasn't talking about sharing family, personal stuff. I was talking about like really weird, disgusting things that people do, like that they used to in years gone by. They would just sit alone at home and be like, "I'm the only one that thinks these things." But now there's a 4chan group or a Reddit group where you can go and you be like, "Oh, these people like snorting glass too."
Right.
Like glass, like actual glass, not the drug glass, but
right.
Well, I think we definitely we got about 50 minutes. I mean, you haven't been on for 50 minutes, but I've been live for 50 minutes. And I haven't heard my family in a while. I'm going to go upstairs and check on them. But thank you so much for stopping in today, Todd.
All right, Kelly, anytime, brother.
Yeah, I'll be, I mean, the stuff is kind of set up now, so I'll be going live randomly throughout the remainder of this time. And then once this time is over, I'd love to have you stop by and we could sit and do it again in person.
Let's do that. We'll try some of your hot sauce and we'll touch our eyes. You can take it.
I just opened the third bottle of the special new one that I really love, and I didn't sell any of those, so I've got I think I made 9 of those total. But when I went and got the third bottle, I'm like, ooh, there's only 6 left. Of course, I got 40 of the other ones, so I think I'll be running out of toilet paper before I run out of hot sauce.
Well, I'd like to make some hot sauce with you sometime.
Yeah. Well, that could be a whole other episode.
Okay. All right, Kelly. You have a good night, buddy.
All right. Talk to you. Thank you, Todd.
Bye.